And introduce myself. My name is Veliswa Gwinza. I am the Director of Arts, Culture, Heritage and Libraries here in the Nelson Mandela Bay. Let me begin by observing protocol. The Honorable MEC Tunyiswa, the Executive Mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay in absentia, who is represented by our portfolio councillor, Councillor Plakis, other members of council that might be here, councillors that might be here, members of the media that are here, but most importantly, members of the family, because members of the families that have contributed to this auspicious event that we are having today, because they are the ones that we are honoring today. Welcome to this event of today. It is a long-awaited event that I think Nelson Mandela Bay as a municipality is quite proud of. I'm not going to be long. Mine is just to be the program director today. I am standing in for a councillor who could not be here today as an official. Therefore, I just wanted to mention that. I am going to hand over this program. The program that we are going to be having, we're launching the Liberation Heritage Book, and we are going to hear a little bit about the book, why we are doing this program. We will have an understanding why we've got the speakers that we've got today. I think it's quite significant and in line with honoring these families that are here that we are very important. Those that are here and those that are not here, because as we do know, liberation heritage is a very long history that we can never ever finish. But it is also an important event and an important activity that government needs to do. And this is only but the beginning or an effort that the municipality is contributing to this national effort of importance. The program will, I'm sure you do have the program, programs were put in on your seats. It will vary a little bit, and as it varies, I will announce as we go along. However, let me introduce, as I have mentioned to you, Councillor Plakis, who will stand in for the Executive Mayor, delegated by the Executive Mayor. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it might be because we have started late or we started after the time that was said that people are still skeptical. They are in a mode that they don't understand if the program is started yet or just we are just passing time. But let me do this. I think mine here is to welcome you to this occasion, to this historic occasion. And this day is not about us as we are standing in front here, but it is about you. This day is about the book that we are going to launch. And I believe inside that book, there are stories about families, there are stories about people that have contributed to that book. And also, if you look at that book, we might see that it is written in black ink in a white paper. Sometimes you find that it is written in white ink or in white shaded areas. But if you look deep into that book, you will find that it is written in red. Because for that book to be in existence, you will find that there are people that have contributed with their lives to ensure that today we sit here and launch the book. So that book, it is more than a book itself. It's more than what is written there. It's about families that have been and that are no longer here. It's about families that are here, but they are not complete. is about families that are crippled today. That book is about that. It's about those families. As the municipality, we took the challenge that was brought to us by the National Heritage Council. We said that we cannot let it pass by, as we all know that this region of ours that is named after an icon, that on its own, it is an heritage, because we are the only region that is named after Nelson Mandela. And if you look at the book, the very face that you see is the one that is Nelson Mandela. So it says to us, therefore, that that book to us is very important and it is closer to home. And there is no way that we can let history not be written by its own people. That is why the combination, the collection, and the research that was done to make sure that the book becomes a success, it was done through the families, through people, through everyone that might have information. So we are saying, as a Nelson Mandela municipality, we pride ourselves by bringing that book into the fore. And as we all know that Nelson Mandela is but one of the icons that we have. We have Otata Ugavan Begi, they are from this side. Today we are singing Unkosi Sikelel' Africa. Maybe some of you might not know that the author of that song is from this region around here in Utenig. So many of the icons and the people that we look after that have written history for us are coming from this region. So we can say we are the heritage region on its own. If you want the history about South Africa, you will come here. If you want history about leadership, you will come here. If you want history about music and everything, you will come here. If you want history about sport, you will come here. Everything about Nelson Mandela is about educating and showing the other countries and the other regions how we do things here. So we are privileged as the people of Nelson Mandela to have such a rich history in front of us. We are privileged to be stepping on the shoes and to be living and to be smelling the lives of those people that have laid foundations for us. That book on its own, it is just but laying that concrete foundation, telling us that we are coming from far. And it's so unfortunate or so fortunate that this month we will be celebrating our freedom. So that means, therefore, the book has been launched at the right time, let alone that it is talking about the heritage. But if you look and divide heritage, you will see even today we started late, we might have inherited the heritage from the African time. So that on its own, its heritage, it is showing you that we are stepping on the right direction. So what I would like to say is that the Nelson Mandela municipality is indeed grateful for the families that have contributed to that, is really grateful to the people that have taken time to put all those words and those stories together so that they can be readable. For us, we are launching it today, but tomorrow it will be read by other generations that were not involved. They will get to understand where we're coming from, what was the role of my family in this, how far did it go. And to us, it will also be reminding us of the families that are no longer in existence. We must remember that walk that we have from that time, the 1800s into 1994, is the walk that has put us in great pressure and in great danger. Some of the families have been killed altogether. They are not existing. But we are standing here talking about freedom, talking about heritage. And we are here now trying to ensure that they are not forgotten. So the executive mayor and the MMC, they have given me that much to say. They have tried to give me their speeches and all that. When I read them, I couldn't. And when I tried to put them in my head, I couldn't because they were not my handwriting. So they were other people's idea. I decided to speak from the heart because that involves me. There's nothing that can be written that we cannot say about the book. Even if you can take one of us now to stand here and talk about the book, that person will speak from the heart because he was involved. And that person, he was attached to the book. So, ladies and gentlemen, all in all, the Nelson Mandela welcomes you. And if you've seen that I have started by talking without recognizing the people that are here. And to that, I thought maybe the program director has done that for me. And I did not want to repeat the above or to say same of the above or all protocol observed because it has been done already. So I did that on purpose. I wanted to finish off by saying that we are honored, Mama, for you to be here today on this historic moment, launching this historic book in front of these families that are sitting here. Some of them have got a whole lot of stories to tell about the book. Some of the stories did not even feature on that. So therefore, we welcome you in Nelson Mandela. We are hoping that the families will treasure the book and will keep the book safe. We will be displaying it in all the areas of Nelson Mandela, the libraries and everything, so that it can be read by everyone. And we surely hope that by the time all other copies are coming, what we call the Red Location Museum will be open so that our history can be told in a way that we want it to be told. You are all welcomed. Thank you.
I think I will have a little permission today to say, Executive Mayor Stroke Councillor, thank you very much for that enlightening speech, particularly for us young people who have come along and were not part of it. It is very important to know this history and be able to pass it on to our own children so that we can know who we are always. I'm having some notes there at the back that are telling me that, you know, we are celebrating today. We are not, you know, sad. Therefore, I'm being told that, and I also need to observe protocol because I do have people that I must respect in the midst in terms of time. However, I'm told that there were people that were singing so nicely when I came that they need to make us a little bit. So I'm told they must give us a number, just a number, a small number, just to give us some looseness so that we can remember that we are celebrating. And then the next speaker will come, who will be representing our executive director, Mrs. Nokolo Nwazi, who is also in absentia, but we do have an acting executive director, Mrs. Williams, who will be representing her. So immediately after the loosening up, she will come through. Thank you.
One, two.
landscape of the preservation of our history. I'm just picking up these pamphlets just to draw your attention quickly. I'm not going to speak as Mrs. Shoba is sneaking something in front of my eyes, and hopefully I'll be able to read it. However, these 4 pamphlets represent the 4 liberation heritage routes that have resulted from the research that was done and collected as part of the book or the result of the book. This is an extension from the book itself. So not only is this event about the book itself, but it's also about beginning to activate the history within Nelson Mandela Bay through the roots. This will become very important information, particularly to the world as they come to us, and our own national tourism and so on. So I just wanted to highlight to you, they have been given names, the routes themselves. So perhaps when we're done with the program, so that I don't prolong, people can just peruse and so that they familiarize themselves and give a word out there. I'm not going to speak very long. I do apologize. You know, technology has a way of embarrassing or revealing age. I do apologize. That doesn't mean I'm old. Please. I want to introduce the next speaker who will expand even further on the importance of the liberation heritage route. Now, what Mrs. Shoba was trying to sneak in front of me, but I took long, was the information that I'm supposed to tell you, so that when he stands in front of you, you know who he is. However, ubhuti olwam Mnqwazi, hayi Mrs. Mnqwazi, please ne, don't put them together, will come to the front and give us a little bit more about why is this important. I want to say that, and I do apologize for taking a little bit, just 1 minute. This is not my space. But as a director of arts and culture, you are the ambassadors. And that is why I keep harping on the information. But this stage is yours.
I had an option of bringing my laptop, but I thought it will cover what I wanted to say. However, it has the same notes on my phone. My name is Olwam Mnqwazi, and I'm very proud to be part of this city and to have been raised and imparted the little knowledge that I know kulapho ndivule khona amehlo apha in the city. All protocol observed. Sino MEC phambi kwethu. It's an honor to finally meet you, ma'am. Ek weet ek is bloedjong. Ek weet. Ek kan hoor die gedigte. Hy is nie stok oud nie. Wat weet jy met die liberation and all of that? Ek kan hoor. But we have been entrusted with the knowledge partly because of the heritage that we have been given through the name Nelson Mandela as a city, but also through the university and the institutions of higher education that are in the city. Through those paths, we've been able to be conscientized and made to be aware of what would have happened. As the book also gives us, it starts from 1400s, the 15th century. It goes all the way to this decade. We've been made aware of what has taken place, what is the kind of struggle that we are waging. We've been made to understand that the struggle continues. We've been made to know who are the people who have actually waged this struggle on our behalf, those who've sacrificed their life and blood and nourished this freedom with their blood. We've been made to understand that we have a particular mandate and a responsibility as this generation to bring to the world a more human face by Steve Biko. We've been made to understand that the people that, in fact, the province that we are born into is a province of legend, and those are the responsibilities that we have been imbued and given by such a generation of legends entailed in this book. And so we come as those who were born in the 80s at the height of the rebellion that the youth of that day, Abo Mkhoseli Jackie, Abo Oprah Mike, and all those people who were waging at the time and actually revolting and saying that we will institute economic bans. We won't go and buy in some spaces. So we were told of the great Mbeki's, Utatomkhulu Kavin Mbeki. Sitting here is someone, Uscelo Khat, who has introduced me to a book called The Peasant Revolt, whose account has conscientized us to understand the condition of our people in the historic sense, currently, and our obligations, therefore, as this generation, to liberate and actually to wage this struggle going forward. So we're happy that when whatever has happened, that when a program of this nature is being launched, when an archive of this nature, like this book, when these roots are being launched, that this generation of ours is not forgotten, because this is their generation that needs to receive this baton. And if we were absent in this program, we would not know where this baton would have been given to. So we rehash what Councillor Plaki has been saying, and when I listened to his speech, I realized that he's taken so much of what I wanted to say. However, there are a few things that I would like to mention as one who has prepared a bit for today. Today, it so happens that President Cyril Ramaphosa has given an honor to one of our own, Umamonom Mhlengonyeni, the Order of Ikamanga, just a few hours ago. And this is the heritage that has been given to us. So what I wanted to summarize about the book, I've had an opportunity to go through from the first page to the last page. And I can safely say that this is a good framework that we can start from and build on, and that it presents an opportunity to reflect on how how our past and our preserved history. The history has been preserved in different ways. There were people, you know, they say that the story is always told from the side of the conqueror. In stories, the lion never really becomes the victor, because the lion can't ride, even though it would have devoured anyone in front of its face. But we will write the stories according to how the victor, which is in this case, we've been afforded an opportunity to write these stories. So we now are presented with another form of a physical tool that we can interrogate as a people, as a generation, and see how and to what extent does it reflect the histories that we've been told about, even Nongqika, even other people that would have actually trod it on the face of this Eastern Cape, the home of legends. the Eastern Cape is continuing. It hasn't stopped. And I like the fact that it's the home of legend. I would have been worried if it was the home of legend. And therefore, we would have no further expectations of other legends to come through the very soil whose Steve Biko's bones now remain. The very depth where Sobukwe and the bones that signifies his presence once in his lifetime amongst us. We would have been worried that the colossal giant of Iqunu, Utatu Mandela, whose name we embody today, we would not have known about them. We would not have known his talent as Ngomamowini, Matikizela Mandela, and we would not have known Omamo Epinet Mbeki, even though by birth she's not from the province, but by marriage she's been engrafted to be one of us. And from such we actually learn, from such we actually take and are empowered to become the kind of people that we are today. So the book, as it has been said, that it covers the four main routes which have been mentioned, and the fact that we are now launching today the heritage route as the leg of Nelson Mandela Metro. And what is my thoughts from this is that we have an opportunity to relive and to reconstruct, I suppose, the Red Location Museum, whose future we still are not certain about. We have an opportunity that the histories that are on those walls are no longer there, but they are each and every house, each and every library, and might just for education's sake be in the hearts and minds of this generation. Because now we have such an archive, a mobile archive that we can use. The history of the South End Museum, which is, the South End Museum is a modern rock engraved and a cave which talks with the talking walls about the histories of the people that constantly we now are given a responsibility to make sure that we don't deliberately, or even if we don't do it deliberately, blot them out of the history of this region. So such praise and honor should go to the Khoi, to the sons and daughters of the San. Such honor must actually extend to the families and the generation of Uren. Such honor must extend to the families of those that live even today, because the heritage that this book is giving to us doesn't allow us to forget. There are a number of things that are good that have happened a little bit before this book that are good. The institution called the Nelson Mandela University currently, it has a center called Kenred. There has been a move and an advance, I suppose, to archive and to document the histories of the northern areas. There's an entity called Napedia. I think it's an online a memory that is being put together. And such work, and the work that actually continues in other spaces, South African Cultural Observatory, this Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, and other spaces, the National Heritage is continuing to becoming our friend in the region. All have actually provided necessary precursors to an existence and a further life that this book can actually live going forward. So as I'm coming towards the close, the Eastern Cape has produced for a number of centuries, I suppose. I think the first graduate that came from the Eastern Cape was Utatu Soga in the early 19th century, who has actually helped us to have literature that becomes a reservoir of which we can compare what happens today and what has happened in the past. We cannot understand what is happening today if we don't understand who made the decisions in the past. we are experiencing currently, as we're sitting here, the design of this wall, the seats, the colors and everything, decisions that were taken by somebody in the past. The only decisions that we take today will only be experienced in the future. So in understanding what is happening today, we have to go and actually look at the history of leadership, of pioneers that we have in the region. The Eastern Cape, in fact, as a province, has produced so many leaders, not for the country, but actually internationally. And that is MEC, part of the heritage that we have as the Eastern Cape. We should own that. We should know that all our graduates from the rural Transkei all to the Paema, Bluelis Bush, going further out of the province, have actually studied here. They were raised here, but they all live. It's not such a bad thing if we understand that our role is actually generating this caliber of human potential. And if we now take it as a responsibility of the province to say, if the medical profession is experiencing, is actually getting so many good doctors from the province, if the accounting profession is getting so many good accountants and lawyers and so forth, somehow there must be a levy that we charge them so that we are able to reproduce again similar and the better quality of such a people, of which we see here, and abo sibabonayo kwezi ncwadi are really not the last people, and therefore we can produce more. Lastly, the Freedom Charter teaches us that the function of education is to make the youth love its people and its culture, is to respect human brotherhood and to love peace. The youth must be taught how to love its people, its culture. It must be taught how to understand peace, and it must be taught how to exist peacefully with the brother and the sister next to each other. We have been given that mandate, and it's an honor for me to be able to represent such a generation whose historic mission now is also to extend from this book onwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that inspiring address. Like I said, I'm a young person. I don't know what that speech did to my youth, but I want to reiterate the fact that I'm young. The time has come for me to call upon. That's why when I started, I said I will say executive mayor stroke. So the time my portfolio councillor stroke executive mayor to introduce the honorable MEC so that the MEC can address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike Controller. That is our MC, and usually it's called Mike Controller. The duty that is being given to me now, it's like introducing the Ipongole to the people of northern areas, to say, this is the bus that you are going to ride on. It is already written Ipongole, so mine will be short here because the person is well known. She's a very hard worker. She is all over. While we were talking outside, she showed me a schedule of the entire Eastern Cape, places that she needs to be. And she's been on a car for almost, I'm not sure how many days. She haven't seen her house, I'm not sure for how many months. She's been working all throughout. And I believe the call that was made by our Honorable President, Tatu Ramaphosa, to say, send me, he meant that everyone that is underneath me will accept the call, will go wherever that they are sent. So we are here today because of the likes of Umamu Tunyiswa, because if their department in the province did not want us to be here, we wouldn't have been here. And we think that it is proper, therefore, to say she must come and taste the work of her hands and the legacy that she is leaving behind. And we must remember, after the 8th of May, she might be coming in as the MEC of Finance, maybe MEC of Human Settlement. But this department is sending a good send-off to her for her current position. Therefore, we would like to welcome you, Mama, and give us some few words.
Thank you very much. This upcoming artist, you are showing us that as the young generation of the Eastern Cape, particularly in Nelson Mandela, there's hope. Thank you very much. Program Director, I hope that, as you said, this event is going to start at 12. You indicated that I am outside. I arrived here exactly at 12. If people think that I came late, I didn't. I was just outside, waiting for the people of Nelson Mandela to come inside. So my apologies for coming late, but I was outside. I nearly attended that funeral because I know that pastor there. A program director, the representative of the executive mayor, Councillor Plaji, and the entire Nelson Mandela Bay family, the leadership present here, senior officials from the various government, the board of trustees, members of the media, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, and family members. Good day. Goeiemiddag. Molweni. Dumela. I greet you all this afternoon when the nation is celebrating Freedom Month, 2 days before celebration of the National Freedom Day at Makhanda on the 27th of April, 2019. Makhanda is one of the local heroes who played a prominent role during the Battle of Grahamstown. Abati, it's Egazini, of the 22nd of April, 1819. An integral element of the Eastern Cape Wars of Resistance. Program Director, it was on this day in 1804 when the town of Uitenhage here in Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality was founded, when the then Commissioner General Jacob Uitenhage dismissed felt there was a need to improve the colonial administration of the Cape areas. The new district of Uitenhage was then founded and was named after De Mist. The Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route Program seeks to look into this history and heritage and redress past imbalances with a view to addressing social and economic transformation imperatives. It is also significant to note that on this day, in 1990, testifying before the Harms Commission at the South African Embassy in London, former police captain Dirk Coetzee testified that he oversaw the 1981 killing by the secret police of liberation struggle activist of local icon uSizwe Kondile, and that of the human rights lawyer Griffiths Mxenge. These are the stories that need to be told within the context of the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route to promote nation building, unity, peace, social justice, social diplomacy, and social cohesion. Program Director, the Eastern Cape has been at the forefront of the wars of resistance and the struggle for national liberation. As a result of the epochs of conflict in the country, many South Africans, Black in general and Africans in particular, sacrificed and lost their lives to ensure we all attain freedom and democracy we enjoy and take for granted nowadays. The following are the epochs I am referring to above: the pre-colonial wars, the colonial wars, slavery, genocide of the Khoi, wars of resistance, Anglo-Boer War, World War I and II, the liberation struggle. Upper Eastern Cape, as we know, it has been a theater to 9 recorded massacres that form part of the broader struggle for national liberation. To mention but a few, we talk of a Bulhoek massacre of 24 May 1921 in Ntabelanga, Krisani. Ngoza Hill massacre of the 6th of June 1960. Bethetile apha umhlekazi. Where is he now? Gone. Spoke about a peasantry revolt. The Egerton, the Egerton bus boycott, Mdantsane, the Uitenhage massacre of the 21st of March 1985, Langa Township, Nelson Mandela, the Queenstown massacre of the 17th of November 1985, Mlungisi Township, the Dungan Village massacres, the Alwal Northern Areas massacre of 1990, and Port Elizabeth and Bishop massacre. Over and above, out of 140 political prisoners that have been executed at the Pretoria Gallows in Pretoria between 1960 and 1994, 85% of these were activists from the Eastern Cape. Furthermore, the bulk of political activists who had been incarcerated on Robben Island and other prisons in South Africa, and those who joined the liberation movement in exile, were from the Eastern Cape. This proves beyond reasonable doubt that the province was the bedrock of the struggle for national liberation in South Africa. Hence, Sisithi Classes Biza, we are the home of legends. Siza kuyilontsha ke tomorrow, we are going to hand over that document as we celebrate the 25 years of freedom. There's some work done by Professor Mlejana and his team on behalf of the Eastern Cape government. So tomorrow at 6 in Makanda, there will be a memorial lecture on how do we call ourselves the home of legends. And then that document or that book will be handed over. So within the context of Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, it's an opportunity for the city to write your own history and tell stories about yourselves. So this is not enough. It's a beginning of a journey to write our own history. And notwithstanding the above, there's a need to develop many sites associated with history and heritage referred to above as they are either underdeveloped or in ruins. The Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route is a Catholic program that seeks to identify, preserve, and promote significant sites related to the liberation struggle across Southern Africa. Over time, the vision is for the sites to form a massive network, making a potent contribution to the heritage sector. Further